10.3.1 Planning for Emergencies. Determine need to evacuate bus. The first and most important consideration is for you to recognize the hazard. If time permits, school bus drivers should contact their dispatcher to explain the situation before making a decision to evacuate the school bus. As a general rule, student safety and control is best maintained by keeping students on the bus during an emergency and or impending crisis situation, if so doing does not expose them to unnecessary risk or injury. Remember, the decision to evacuate the bus must be a timely one. A decision to evacuate should include consideration of the following conditions. Is there a fire or danger of fire? Is there a smell of raw or leaking fuel? Is there a chance the bus could be hit by other vehicles? Is the bus in the path of a sighted tornado or rising waters? Are there downed power lines? Would removing students expose them to speeding traffic, severe weather, or a dangerous environment such as downed power lines? Would moving students complicate injuries such as neck and back injuries and fractures? Is there a hazardous spill involved? Sometimes it may be safer to remain on the bus and not come in contact with the material. Mandatory evacuations. The driver must evacuate the bus when the bus is on fire or there is a threat of a fire, the bus is stalled on or adjacent to a railroad highway crossing, the position of the bus may change and increase the danger, there is an imminent danger of collision, there is a need to quickly evacuate because of a hazardous materials spill. 10.3.2 Evacuation Procedures. Be prepared and plan ahead. When possible, assign 2 responsible older student assistants to each emergency exit. Teach them how to assist the other students off the bus. Assign another student assistant to lead the students to a safe place after evacuation. However, you must recognize that there may not be older, responsible students on the bus at the time of the emergency. Therefore, emergency evacuation procedures must be explained to all students. This includes knowing how to operate the various emergency exits and the importance of listening to and following all instructions given by you. Some tips to determine a safe place. A safe place will be at least 100 feet off the road in the direction of oncoming traffic. This will keep the students from being hit by debris if another vehicle collides with the bus. Lead students upwind of the bus if fire is present. Lead students as far away from railroad tracks as possible and in the direction of any oncoming train. Lead students upwind of the bus at least 300 feet if there is a risk from spilled hazardous materials. If the bus is in the direct path of a sighted tornado and evacuation is ordered, escort students to a nearby ditch or culvert if shelter in a building is not readily available, and direct them to lie face down, hands covering their head. They should be far enough away so the bus cannot topple on them. Avoid areas that are subject to flash floods. General procedures. Determine if evacuation is in the best interest of safety. Determine the best type of evacuation. Front, rear, or side door evacuation, or some combination of doors. Roof or window evacuation. Secure the bus by placing transmission in park, or if there is no shift point, in neutral. Setting parking brakes. Shutting off the engine. Removing ignition key. Activating hazard warning lights. If time allows, notify dispatch office of evacuation location, conditions, and type of assistance needed. Dangle radio microphone or telephone out of driver's window for later use, if operable. If no radio or radio is inoperable, dispatch a passing motorist or area resident to call for help. As a last resort, dispatch 2 older responsible students to go for help. Order the evacuation. Evacuate students from the bus. Do not move a student you believe may have suffered a neck or spinal injury unless his or her life is in immediate danger. Special procedures must be used to move neck spinal injury victims to prevent further injury. Direct a student assistant to lead students to the nearest safe place. Walk through the bus to ensure no students remain on the bus. Retrieve emergency equipment. Join waiting students. Account for all students and check for their safety. Protect the scene. Set out emergency warning devices as necessary and appropriate. Prepare information for emergency responders. 10.4 Railroad Highway Crossings. 10.4.1 Types of crossings. Passive crossings. This type of crossing does not have any type of traffic control device. You must stop at these crossings and follow proper procedures. However, the decision to proceed rests entirely in your hands. Passive crossings require you to recognize the crossing, search for any train using the tracks, and decide if there is sufficient clear space to cross safely. Passive crossings have yellow, circular advance warning signs, pavement markings, and cross bucks to assist you in recognizing a crossing. Active crossings. This type of crossing has a traffic control device installed at the crossing to regulate traffic at the crossing. These active devices include flashing red lights, with or without bells, and flashing red lights with bells and gates. 10.4.2 Warning signs and devices. Advance warning signs. The round black on yellow warning sign is placed ahead of a public railroad highway crossing. The advance warning sign tells you to slow down. Look and listen for the train and be prepared to stop at the tracks if a train is coming. See Figure 10.5. Pavement markings. Pavement markings mean the same as the advance warning sign. They consist of an X with the letters RR and a no passing marking on 2-lane roads. There is also a no passing zone sign on 2-lane roads. There may be a white stop line painted on the pavement before the railroad tracks. The front of the school bus must remain behind this line while stopped at the crossing. See Figure 10.6. Cross buck signs. This sign marks the crossing. It requires you to yield the right-of-way to the train. If there is no white line painted on the pavement, you must stop the bus before the cross buck sign. When the road crosses over more than one set of tracks, a sign below the crossbuck indicates the number of tracks. See Figure 10.7. Flashing red light signals. At many highway rail grade crossings, the crossbuck sign has flashing red lights and bells. When the lights begin to flash, stop. A train is approaching. You are required to yield the right of way to the train. If there is more than one track, make sure all tracks are clear before crossing. See Figure 10.8. Gates. Many railroad highway crossings have gates with flashing red lights and bells. Stop when the lights begin to flash and before the gate lowers across the road lane. Remain stopped until the gates go up and the lights have stopped flashing. Proceed when it is safe. If the gate stays down after the train passes, do not drive around the gate. Instead, call your dispatcher. See Figure 10.8. 10.4.3 Recommended Procedures. Each state has laws and regulations governing how school buses must operate at railroad highway crossings. It is important for you to understand and obey these state laws and regulations. In general, school buses must stop at all crossings and ensure it is safe before proceeding across the tracks. The specific procedures required in each state vary. A school bus is one of the safest vehicles on the highway. However, a school bus does not have the slightest edge when involved in a crash with a train. Because of a train's size and weight, it cannot stop quickly. An emergency escape route does not exist for a train. You can prevent school bus, train crashes by following these recommended procedures. Approaching the crossing. Slow down, including shifting to a lower gear in a manual transmission bus, and test your brakes. Activate hazard lights approximately 200 feet before the crossing. Make sure your intentions are known. Scan your surroundings and check for traffic behind you. Stay to the right of the roadway if possible. Choose an escape route in the event of a brake failure or problems behind you. At the crossing, stop no closer than 15 feet and no farther than 50 feet from the nearest rail, where you have the best view of the tracks. Place the transmission in park, or if there is no park shift point, in neutral and press down on the service brake or set the parking brakes. Turn off all radios and noisy equipment and silence the passengers. Open the service door and driver's window. Look and listen for an approaching train. Crossing the track. Check the crossing signals again before proceeding. At a multiple track crossing, stop only before the first set of tracks. When you are sure no train is approaching on any track, proceed across all of the tracks until you have completely cleared them. Cross the tracks in a low gear. Do not change gears while crossing. If the gate comes down after you have started across, drive through it, even if it means you will break the gate. 10.4.4 Special Situations. Bus stalls or trapped on tracks. If your bus stalls or is trapped on the tracks, get everyone out and off the tracks immediately. Move everyone far from the bus at an angle, which is both away from the tracks and toward the train. Police officer at the crossing. If a police officer is at the crossing, obey directions. If there is no police officer and you believe the signal is malfunctioning, call your dispatcher to report the situation and ask for instructions on how to proceed. Obstructed view of tracks. Plan your route so it provides maximum sight distance at highway rail grade crossings. Do not attempt to cross the tracks unless you can see far enough down the track to know for certain that no trains are approaching. Passive crossings are those that do not have any type of traffic control device. Be especially careful at passive crossings, even if there are active railroad signals that indicate the tracks are clear. You must look and listen to be sure it is safe to proceed. Containment or storage areas. If it won't fit, don't commit. Know the length of your bus and the size of the containment area at highway rail crossings on the school bus route, as well as any crossing you encounter in the course of a school activity trip. When approaching a crossing with a signal or stop sign on the opposite side, pay attention to the amount of room there. Be certain the bus has enough containment or storage area to completely clear the railroad tracks on the other side if there is a need to stop. As a general rule, add 15 feet to the length of the school bus to determine an acceptable amount of containment or storage area. Student management. 10.5.1. Don't deal with on-bus problems when loading and unloading. In order to get students to and from school safely and on time, you need to be able to concentrate on the driving task. Loading and unloading requires all your concentration. Don't take your eyes off what is happening outside the bus. If there is a behavior problem on the bus, wait until the students unloading are safely off the bus and have moved away. If necessary, pull the bus over to handle the problem. 10.5.2. Handling serious problems. Tips on handling serious problems. Follow your school's procedures for discipline or refusal of rights to ride the bus. Stop the bus. Park in a safe location off the road, perhaps a parking lot or a driveway. Secure the bus. Take the ignition key with you if you leave your seat. Stand up and speak respectfully to the offender or offenders. Speak in a courteous manner with a firm voice. Remind the offender of the expected behavior. Do not show anger, but do show that you mean business. If a change of seating is needed, request that the student move to a seat near you. Never put a student off the bus, except at school or at his or her designated school bus stop. If you feel that the offense is serious enough that you cannot safely drive the bus, call for a school administrator or the police to come and remove the student. Always follow your state or local procedures for requesting assistance. 10.6. Anti-lock braking systems. 10.6.1. Vehicles required to have anti-lock braking systems. The Department of Transportation requires that anti-lock braking systems be on air brakes vehicles, trucks, buses, trailers, and converter dollies built on or after March 1, 1998. Hydraulically brake trucks and buses with a gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds or more built on or after March 1, 1999. Many buses built before these dates have been voluntarily equipped with ABS. Your school bus will have a yellow ABS malfunction lamp on the instrument panel if it is equipped with ABS. 10.6.2 How ABS helps you. When you brake hard on slippery surfaces in a vehicle without ABS, your wheels may lock up. When your steering wheels lock up, you lose steering control. When your other wheels lock up, you may skid or even spin the vehicle. ABS helps you avoid wheel lockup and maintain control. You may or may not be able to stop faster with ABS, but you should be able to steer around an obstacle while braking and avoid skids caused by over-braking. 10.6.3 Braking with ABS. When you drive a vehicle with ABS, you should brake as you always have. In other words, use only the braking force necessary to stop safely and stay in control. Brake the same way, regardless of whether you have ABS on the bus. However, in emergency braking, do not pump the brakes on a bus with ABS. As you slow down, monitor your bus and back off the brakes, if it is safe to do so, to stay in control. 10.6.4 Braking if ABS is not working. Without ABS, you still have normal brake functions. Drive and brake as you always have. Vehicles with ABS have yellow malfunction lamps to tell you if something is not working. The yellow ABS malfunction lamp is on the bus's instrument panel. As a system check on newer vehicles, the malfunction lamp comes on at startup for a bulb check and then goes out quickly. On older systems, the lamp could stay on until you are driving over 5 mph. If the lamp stays on after the bulb check or goes on once you are underway, you may have lost ABS control at one or more wheels. Remember, if your ABS malfunctions, you still have regular brakes. Drive normally, but get the system serviced soon. 10.6.5 Safety reminders. ABS won't allow you to drive faster, follow more closely, or drive less carefully. ABS won't prevent power or turning skids. ABS should prevent brake-induced skids, but not those caused by spinning the drive wheels or going too fast in a turn. ABS won't necessarily shorten stopping distance. ABS will help maintain vehicle control, but not always shorten stopping distance. ABS won't increase or decrease ultimate stopping power. ABS is an add-on to your normal brakes, not a replacement for them. ABS won't change the way you normally brake. Under normal brake conditions, your vehicle will stop as it always stopped. ABS only comes into play when a wheel would normally have locked up because of over-braking. ABS won't compensate for bad brakes or poor brake maintenance. Remember, the best vehicle safety feature is still a safe driver. Remember, drive so you never need to use your ABS. Remember, if you need it, ABS could help to prevent a serious crash. 10.7 Special Safety Considerations. 10.7.1 Strobe Lights. Some school buses are equipped with roof-mounted white strobe lights. If your bus is so equipped, the overhead strobe light should be used when you have limited visibility. This means that you cannot easily see around you, in front, behind, or beside the school bus. Your visibility could be only slightly limited, or it could be so bad that you can see nothing at all. In all instances, understand and obey your state or local regulations concerning the use of these lights. 10.7.2 Driving in High Winds. Strong winds affect the handling of the school bus. The side of a school bus acts like a sail on a sailboat. Strong winds can push the school bus sideways. They can even move the school bus off the road or, in extreme conditions, tip it over. If you are caught in strong winds, keep a strong grip on the steering wheel. Try to anticipate gusts. You should slow down to lessen the effect of the wind or pull off the roadway and wait. Contact your dispatcher to get more information on how to proceed. 10.7.3 Backing. Backing a school bus is strongly discouraged. You should back your bus only when you have no other safe way to move the vehicle. You should never back a school bus when students are outside of the bus. Backing is dangerous and increases your risk of a collision. If you have no choice and you must back your bus, follow these procedures. Post a lookout. The purpose of the lookout is to warn you about obstacles, approaching persons, and other vehicles. The lookout should not give directions on how to back the bus. Signal for quiet on the bus. Constantly check all mirrors and rear windows. Back slowly and smoothly. If no lookout is available, set the parking brake, turn off the motor, and take the keys with you. Walk to the rear of the bus to determine whether the way is clear. If you must back up at a student pickup point, be sure to pick up students before backing and watch for latecomers at all times. Be sure that all students are in the bus before backing. If you must back up at a student drop-off point, be sure to unload students after backing. 10.7.4 Tail swing. A school bus can have up to a 3-foot tail swing. You need to check your mirrors before and during any turning movements to monitor the tail swing. Section 10. Test your knowledge. 1. Define the danger zone. How far does the danger zone extend around the bus? 2. What should you be able to see if the outside flat mirrors are adjusted properly? The outside convex mirrors, the crossover mirrors. 3. You are loading students along the route. When should you activate your alternating flashing amber warning lights? 4. You are unloading students along your route. Where should students walk to after exiting the bus? 5. After unloading at school, why should you walk through the bus? 6. What position should students be in front of the bus before they cross the roadway? 7. Under what conditions must you evacuate the bus? 8. How far from the nearest rail should you stop at a highway rail crossing? 9. What is a passive highway rail crossing? Why should you be extra cautious at this type of crossing? 10. How should you use your brakes if your vehicle is equipped with anti-locked brakes, ABS? These questions may be on your test. If you can't answer them all, reread Section 10 or re-listen to these videos. Thank you.